next meeting, so please feel free to jump in at any point where I'm missing information. Okay, so let's hop right on into old business to review and approve previous meeting minutes. Since I did not actually watch the meeting, I am not going to vote. I'm going to abstain on this particular vote. Do we have a motion to approve November meeting minutes as written?
So moved.
I will move to approve.
Excellent. Okay, so perfect. Second, perfect. Great.
Thank you.
Any discussion? No, great, perfect. Let's go ahead and we'll go straight into a vote then. All those approve, please say aye or raise your hand online. Perfect. So, and then I'm going to abstain, but we have a majority vote. So we're good there. Perfect. Okay, moving on to more old business, the Arts Week community engagement. I don't know who has the update for that. Yes, there we go. Okay.
So our group is continuing to meet. Justin and Kevin Clock with Colorado Sound are going to be handling the music part of the of Arts Week. So we have a grant from the Science and Cultural Facilities District for art for music. And so we'll be doing that at the beginning of the year. We will go out for a call for entry for our visual artists to do the mini murals. So, and we'll continue to meet. We meet every other week. I did have to cancel last week's meeting because I had a conflict, but we'll meet next week and we'll keep moving forward and plugging folks in and making contacts.
How large is the grant?
It's about $4,800.
And that covers pretty much everything you need, or?
No, that's just the music.
Oh, just the music.
Yeah,
Okay.
just the musical performances. Since the grant focuses on diverse, local, emerging artists, so they tend to be a little more affordable. But we have in the past worked with, like we worked with the Denver Powwow dancers last year, all the way from a very professional group like that to a small Cambodian group that asked us to contribute to their school program. So there's a whole range of what ends up getting into the mix and getting funded. But yeah.
I do have a list of organizations to send you. I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
That's perfect. I'll start pestering you.
I made the
more.
list. That was the hard part.
Yeah, so and the same for those of you online, if you have contacts, artist groups, bands, all of that, just send that to me. We definitely want to cast a wide net for including people.
Perfect. Donna, do you have your hand up for a question?
No, I'm sorry, I forgot to take it down.
That's okay, no worries. We just want to make sure that you're.
Actually, you can hear me though, is that right?
We sure can.
Thank you, I'll take it down here. There
Awesome.
we go.
Remind me again the dates for Arts Week.
April 26th through May 3rd.
Okay. Okay, and then your deadline for booking all of the entertainment would be
From a marketing standpoint, it'd be nice to have it in March.
March. Okay.
That's since I'm working with volunteers, I'm going to be very gentle with them. But the more we can know ahead of time, the better we can market it. We have the structure in place to start all of that marketing. So it's in the activity guide. All of the partners are listed. We're up to 40 partners. So really from a partnership standpoint, we're really hitting that metric. It's a different community engagement than say a Westie Fest where we're getting, 37,000 people. I think we were at about 1,000, 1,200 people, but again, those partnerships within the community and getting folks out into our businesses and that whole connection with the creative industry here. So,
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Love it. Okay, cool. All right. So anything else on the topic of Arts Week?
My hand is raised now.
Oh, it is. Okay. I was just going to ask if that, yes. Go ahead, Donna.
I'll put it down. I wanted to ask Kate, the ball kind of got dropped here. Are you still looking for, you know, we talked about our art guild here participating. Are you still looking for any participants, or what is the status
I
there?
would love to connect with your art guild. So I was going to
Okay,
reach out to
okay.
you. I was going
We
to
had
follow
a
up.
new, we had a new person take over,
Okay.
and I think the things kind of fell through the cracks.
Okay.
So I will follow up on that. I apologize to you.
Oh, not a problem. I would have circled back. I was just there. We still have a little bit of time, but definitely want to have them involved.
Okay, I will do it ASAP.
Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Okie dokie. Would anybody mind if I moved the chairperson and secretary nominations voting thing to the bottom of our agenda for tonight?
Sure, fine.
Great, perfect. And then let's go ahead and do the Inclusive Housing Committee update. Okay, set up a meeting with, okay, and
Yes.
Steve after the start of 2025.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I just wanted to
Good.
follow up. I had
Yep.
sort of dropped the ball on that one, so I wanted that in there so that I wouldn't forget
Yep.
to
Thank
do
you.
that. I've reached out to our planning staff to see how they want to be involved in that. I mean, as the planners, they're the keepers of the zoning
Yeah.
ordinance, so I think having them
Okay.
included in any conversations, they can update the group about what's underway, if anything, and
Okay,
all
good,
of that.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Don't want to step on the zoning commission's toes either.
Right.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, great. So then that leads us to Counselor Demott. Good evening.
How's it going?
Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't able to make it in person. I did not get to leave work at all today until
Oh.
well after 5. So
Yeah, no, probably it's a holiday season for you, isn't it?
yes,
Yep. Busy time.
t-shirt company, all retail, all
Yep.
sales. No
Yep.
time off. So
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, let's
that's
go
okay.
ahead and, just have
Yeah,
you
so-
jump right into your council report.
Yeah, so this time of year is slow on the council side, which is nice. You know, we got through the budget and everything else. That's like big business for the year. And so I guess the big thing that may be interesting to you guys, if you check out our agenda for Monday, we had the results presented to us from the community survey that we do every 2 years. And so we talked through those results to see kind of where we are. It was nice to see that a lot of the things in terms of, you know, how we're trending and say, for example, how safe you feel in the city, you know, quality of life in the city, all the things that we ask residents when they fill out those surveys. We're trending on the ups, which is good. Nationally, everybody kind of saw a dip through COVID. And so they were saying that, you know, we are trending in a really good place, even with our, you know, kind of the mountain region that they track us against. But certainly there's also areas to improve. I think any area it would be good to improve. None of them were 100%. I think that would be unheard of if we got 100%, but you should strive for it. So, but you guys may want to take a look at that. I think it's pretty interesting. One area that I know crosses over in a lot of your guys' work over the last year in terms of seniors, we didn't score very well when you talk about being a place to retire. And, you know, so that's our residents saying that they don't look at this as a place to retire, which I don't think was really what we would like. I think we'd prefer to have options for people to age in place, whether, you know, obviously your own home or other facilities. And if you put that in correlation to the work that we're trying to do in housing, that was an area that, you know, crosses over when we're looking at trying to find more options for senior housing. And I think that, you know, we really need that across the gamut, whether that's, you know, for pay or affordable. You know, there's room for all those different kind of products for folks as they age. So not surprising, I guess, or um, not surprising. And also, I would say the other thing that I think we all agreed on, if you look in terms of what our strategic plan is and the priorities that we have put in place, such as putting core services at the forefront, it lined up with what residents are asking for and wanting. So, you know, certainly would encourage you guys to look at that. It could drive your work just as much as it does ours to be able to know what the residents are thinking in terms of the services provided by the city. Other couple of fun things that we did recently were the two tree lightings. Well, there were three this year because they did one downtown. I was unfortunately not able to make that one, but I know there was council representation there, as well as I believe the mayor was there. And then we had the historic Westminster, that tree lighting on 73rd that the Historic Society puts on. And then we had our tree lighting at City Hall last Saturday. So very, very well attended. Always a fun time. And then this next Monday is the last meeting of the year. So if you have something you want to bring forward and use your comment time or anything that the group wants to bring forward to us, that's your last opportunity before, the new year. And then we'll start, ramping back up for kind of a strategic plan, touch base. Typically, the way that those work with the strategic planning going into this next year, it's kind of that in between year of elections. And so it's more of a, are we on the right track, making little tweaks? It's not that bigger, larger strategic planning that we did after the last election. And then after next year's election, council will, do that again. And that's the opportunity with new council members to say, through the election were the things that came out in the people's voting and electing representatives that need to be adjusted. So just an idea of, kind of the things that we've been working on. That's kind of really the big stuff until the end of the, getting into next year. And then we'll start, gearing back up for things that we do in our business. So.
Any questions for the counselor? I see Donna with your hand up. Donna, I think you're muted.
I would like to share with Councilman Demott and the rest of you that are members of the Inclusivity Board. We had a town hall meeting here today and would like to share this with you. Covenant Living of Colorado is ranked 47th among the top 300 continuing care retirement communities in the nation.
Oh, wow.
And as number one within the state of Colorado, according to a new survey results that were released by Newsweek magazine, as well as a global research firm called Statista. So retirement in Westminster is a good place if you're in the right place. And I just wanted to say to you, Councilman, thank you so much to the council for sponsoring the concert that we had last week. That was quite an enjoyable event, and just want to say we appreciate very much at Covenant Living what the city council does for us.
Well, I really appreciate that feedback, Donna, and you were very welcome. I know we were excited to be able to support that, and I have to say that that's pretty impressive, and I definitely don't think that's all just the city, the residents such as yourself that make that such a great place. So, but I will bring that back. That is pretty awesome to know that Westminster House is the best one in the state and 47th in the nation. That's
47th in the nation of I don't know how, over 3,000. So we were pretty excited today. It was a standing ovation for our at our
That's
town
amazing.
hall meeting with our executive director. And I just wanted to share that, particularly since the council had been a part of some of the events that we have there. It means a lot.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I always enjoy getting to come and visit the folks over there. So I will carry that back to the rest of council. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Although every time I've been to Covenant Living, I'm just like, I want to live here. It's really that great. So it's no shock and surprise that they did so well. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to new business. Go ahead.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I'm
Sure.
gonna jump and let you guys get to it. So I appreciate the time as always. If there's anything that you guys need from me, you know how to get a hold of me. But otherwise, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a good New Year. And we'll see you next year.
Happy holidays to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Amy, it looks like you have an update on the library master plan.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take a few minutes. So the last few months, the library has been working on our next library master plan, which is essentially our strategic plan. So we have been doing a bit of community engagement, not quite as widespread and robust as the Parks, Rec, and Libraries vision plan that's been ongoing for about over a year that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But we did a community survey about 6 weeks ago. It was open for about a month, and then we did some community listening sessions, and then we had a small retreat with staff and some community members. We had a great response to our survey, so that was really wonderful. We kind of exceeded our statistic mark. About 3 times that. We had about 1,150 people respond. And so we were really excited about that. And I'm really getting some great feedback. Our last strategic plan expired about 3 years ago. So it's definitely overdue for that. And just took not the plan. We won't have a draft till next month, but we gave City Council an update on December 2nd. So here just about a week and a half ago, and got their input on just a few key questions. One of the areas we're seeing is just raising the visibility of our library in the community, and maybe key areas to partner with, and how do we reach underserved populations.
Good.
So we were getting council's feedback on that. And then certainly, if any of you have some feedback that you'd like to pass along, certainly I can take that back to our consultants as we're compiling all of that feedback. You're welcome to reach out to me just individually.
Do you have a summary of what the findings of that survey were?
Yes, actually,
that you
I
could
do.
share with
Yep,
the
I
group?
will email.
send
We had
that.
about we included it in the council packet. So I think it's like 19 pages. I mean, with the first 4 being just the high level
executive summary.
executive
Yeah, which is
summary.
something that I think we would be interested in
Yes,
seeing.
so
rather than all
I'll
the data
definitely
points.
email that to you all. But so yeah, we're looking to get a draft in January, and we'll be back to City Council in February to get that adopted. But really looking again for, this really helps us focus down with the limited resources that the library has, and we can be. The library has a really broad mission in terms of the resources we can provide. So really looking for what specifically does our community need and what can we focus on. So I wanted to share that, and yeah, I'll be happy to email the executive summary now.
Okay, perfect.
Just wanted to do
And what would you say would be like the top thing that, the thing that came up the most, or that seemed to be a very common and frequent concern?
Yeah, so there was 2 or 3 things. One, we found overwhelmingly that people that use the library love the library. So that was really nice to hear. But on the flip side, those that don't use the library really have no idea of the range of services that are offered. So really, unfamiliar with those services. I think the other thing we heard is that compared to kind of our peer libraries in Colorado, where our utilization isn't as high as it could be. That's where kind of one of our key questions to City Council is helping to raise visibility. And we have some great libraries surrounding us, and so how do we kind of stand out, but also, give our residents and community members, the service that they're paying for.
Right.
And then really, I think another one is that our space maybe isn't quite what it should be for a community of our size. So that maybe increasing the footprint of our library, not by a ton, but we're actually going to be undergoing in the next 2 years an update of our Irving Street Library, really looking at revamping that space and potentially expanding just a little bit, maybe adding some square footage to that space. So this will be good feedback to take into that project. We'll start the design in 2025 with construction in 2026. So we'll be doing a lot of community engagement specifically in the community to really get feedback. We know we need a teen space, a dedicated teen space there. We know we need another community meeting room for, place for people to meet. We need more individual study rooms. We need just better, that's a heavily used space. I mean, meaning, people come in and they're spending big chunks of time there versus maybe at College Hill. People are kind of in and out for a program or in and out to pick up their holds. But at Irving Street, because it's high needs, that people are there for an extended period of time. And so how do we better serve them, but also have the space for everybody that's using the library?
But were there any responses about collaboration with Jeffco?
Yes, there was a few there. And so definitely that's an area, if we're looking to actually, if we have the capacity to actually add an actual additional outlet, I think we'd certainly be looking at the Jefferson County side and then working with Jefferson County's library, since our residents on the Jefferson County side already pay to the Jefferson County Library. And so how do we, and we've had conversations with the Jeffco Library, and they're certainly open to it for the right opportunity.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it was a city council study session where Jeffco libraries were asking for funding from Westminster. And I heard them promise that they were going to build something very soon in Westminster. And this was several years ago.
Okay.
And so I'm just interested to see that.
Right.
It's just should be a slam dunk to cooperate.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Donna, you have your hand up?
Yes, this is sort of a follow-up to what Rich's comments and what's going on here. Here in Covenant Living, we are connected through the Jeffco Library group and basically Stanley Lake Library. And I was just wondering if there was any way or anything we could or should do to support the program in Westminster. But it sounds like maybe there's been discussion about that and something maybe coming down the pike. Am I correct, or what's going on?
Well, really, it's more just very preliminary discussions, more about if we were to build an outlet either downtown or the farther west. But we do know that Jefferson County has continued to support either through Homebound or Senior Services our Westminster residents. So I'm happy to hear. I didn't know about that, the partnership there with Covenant Living. So I think that's great, because again, how do we maximize again the resources so that well,
their library bookmobile does come to our campus, I think once or twice a month. And so we have that connection. But as you were talking and I was thinking about this, I thought, I wonder if we should explore and some involvement with Westminster. And I think that could be done if it's appropriate and as possible. So just wanted to share that.
That's wonderful. That's great. And we don't have quite the capacity or a bookmobile, but we do have a library to go van. So right now we're only able to hit 2 residents per month, but we go to Highland Hills and Keystone. And so we're trying to expand, but good to know that if Jefferson County's doing some, that we're not duplicating, but that we're trying to get the library services to everyone, as many as we can.
That is interesting.
So do you have a new PRL director, or is it?
We actually, we have a new acting director. So yes, Tomas Herrera-Mischler, who is the former PRL director, did resign due to family, medical reasons. That just 5 weeks ago. So it was
Okay,
fairly.
so you probably talked about it last meeting, or
No, I didn't.
no?
I didn't know that.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they did leave. So Eric Otzelberger has been with the city for quite some time. He's been in our community community services department, but has spent some time as a deputy county manager with Eagle County and with the city's policy and budget office, as well as community services. And so he is currently the acting Parks, Recreation, and Libraries director. And that can be for up to 9 months. And so in about 6 to 9 months, they'll start looking for permanent director.
And what about at Irving Street Library? It looks like they're coming along very well with the playground.
Yes.
Playground.
Yes. So they've been that playground, which didn't have anything there for a couple of years after the fire incident. But construction, they have most of the actual playground structure already completed. Now with winter coming, they're just working on it as they can. And so they're kind of finishing. There's an outdoor classroom that will be built there, and they're hoping to open the playground in March or April.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one other thing, I just want to compliment the Irving Street Library staff, because a lot of the unhoused find refuge there when they can. And I was there. I don't know if that was the same day I saw you. There was, so that would have been 2 weeks ago. There were, one of the unhoused was outside. Well, somebody thought he was sleeping, but he had fallen and could not get up. He has an arm that has not healed. So the security, it took 3 of us to bring him in and put him in a wheelchair and brought him in. And the director, supervisor there, because it was for a lot of people a half day, Thanksgiving, for that Wednesday, she got the co-responders to come and get him because he was in a lot of pain. And so they act as de facto, angels. So it's really good. It's incredible staff you have there.
It's true. They do a great job. So thank you.
Righty. Okay, anything else on the library master plan? Updates? Okay, cool. Okay, all right. And then the PRL vision plan, let's see here. Phases 1 and 2 have been completed. Staff will be providing the inclusivity board with a draft of the plan and its appendices for review in the coming weeks. Do we have sort of a time frame on that, like a more firm?
Literally within a week to 2 weeks.
Oh,
So we
okay.
should have it before the beginning of January.
Okay.
You will also receive a link to provide comments on that document.
Oh,
So you can just put your comments right in there.
Awesome.
Those will be included, and then staff will be going to council later in January, I think. I don't think it's first meeting,
I think it's the second one.
second meeting.
Yeah.
And then it'll move forward with adoption.
Okay.
There's been a very robust community engagement process, a lot statistically valid survey undertaken, and just a lot of connections with the community about the direction of services.
Yep.
So yeah, watch for that, and please do provide your comments. If you have any issues using the link, just reach out to me.
Okay.
I can walk folks how to do that, but it's pretty straightforward. It's a platform called Convivio, so you don't have to download a program or anything. You just go right into it.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Community report. What's happening in the community? Anything exciting that we want to share with each other?
I had a conversation with somebody I know works with inclusivity regarding disability. She's a Westminster resident, and she does this at her congregation in Boulder to make it more inclusive for people. And her focus is people with disability.
Accessibility, yeah.
And disability can be physical disability or mental disability. She thinks this is something that we should be addressing, and are we addressing in the city?
In terms of what specifically?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay.
It's being welcoming and helping. And I guess that would come under
It would.
us.
It would.
Inclusivity.
Sure would. Yeah.
Yeah. It would.
Yeah. Is that something that she'd be willing to be more specific?
Yes, I actually asked her, I said, well, you're a resident. So
Yeah. Yeah.
could you do something and maybe come in and give a brief presentation
Sure.
on that? Because what she does at her religious community is, and it's a large community, would be, she could something maybe translate. So I told her, don't have to worry about coming January or February.
Yeah.
She could
Or
think
she can
about
even
that.
just communicate through you with some ideas and suggestions that maybe we could, put in a format that we can present to
Yeah.
council.
I don't remember if we had addressed accessibility in our bylaws. mean, it's been a while since we created those, but
Yeah,
it certainly should be part of our purview.
yeah, yeah. So interesting. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind following up with that, if anybody has concerns that accessibility needs are not being met, it's definitely well within. Oh, hi there, Donna. You have a question? Oh, you got your mute on.
I'm muted again. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I was just going to piggyback on what Rich said. I do believe the bylaws for this board do somewhere talk about accessibility and stuff, Richard. I think you're right about that.
Well, your memory is better than mine. I don't honestly recall. I can't imagine we would have looked that, but I really don't remember.
Yeah,
I'd have to
Well,
look
it would have
them
been
over.
early on when we were kind
Yeah.
of developing our bylaws and
Right.
our process and so forth. But it almost seems to me like in the back of my head, I'm thinking we had discussions about that. It would be worth checking into.
Well, I know we've we've done some things. I can remember talking to someone I think it was the precursor to Westie Fest,
Mhm.
who was blind, and he had no way of knowing, what locker number he had at the rec center. And the staff there did go ahead and put Braille numbers on it. So we did have some response there. And I also remember when the new downtown was being built, there was we had a member who recommended that the city council go down to the site, walk around blindfolded, or sit in a wheelchair and try to navigate the space, which I thought was a great suggestion that I don't think it ever happened. But yeah, it hasn't been ignored, but I think we need to focus more on it. I agree.
And something might be, when we talk practicality, I go to a lot of city council meetings and I really haven't noticed like sections of seats taken out that would be dedicated for wheelchair accessibility. I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
But there isn't an ASL interpreter either,
correct.
which is going to cost a little bit of money.
Correct. Although I think on occasion, I think upon request, they've had Spanish language interpretation. So I think it's just a question of reminding folks that those services exist and are available.
Yeah.
Not sure how we get that out there though either, because I mean, much like how do we make the libraries more visible? Like how do we make these opportunities for people who have disabilities to participate in person? Yeah. So okay. Well, this might be something we can maybe talk about next year.
Yeah, we
is really digging a little deeper into.
Yes.
So do we know that other than maybe most of City Hall, I assume is accessible? But maybe
Would
not.
have to be ADA compliant. I mean,
Uh-huh.
And there's kind of a difference between like ADA compliant, kind of the letter
And
of ADA,
truly-
and then kind of that next level of
Yes.
accessibility. So certainly, our buildings, if they've been, have to be ADA compliant, but then there's that next level of,
Mhm.
how wide truly is wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair versus the standard, feet. And so I think we strive for that higher level, but.
Do we know which buildings? I mean, are the libraries pretty accessible for people, both of them?
I mean, again, the building kind of meets that ADA,
Okay.
code and specifications, but we certainly find sometimes just even height signage, our wheelchair buttons, sometimes are not always optimal. So it's something we definitely, look to both the city's accessibility plan, but then specifically like the library, look to our strategic plan. Yeah.
So would that be something that maybe this person that I talked to, because she looks at all the different things, to maybe say, well, let's have maybe a team that goes out to just
Well, the city does have folks that assess accessibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. And how, I mean, I forget what frequency they kind of review their accessibility plan, but it's fairly frequent, isn't it? 3 to 5 years or something like that.
I believe so.
Um, and it seems like I mean, there's always something happening to expand accessibility, but I just don't know.
Well, I know that our website update that's going to
Mhm.
come online in January is all about accessibility.
Oh.
Right. Well,
So to
that
me-
was mandated by the state.
It
So-
was.
That was a voluntary move, but yeah,
Moving forward
Yeah.
to meet that requirement.
yeah, exactly.
Be a major step forward, a painful one for our website, but yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
but making those changes. So I have this on the list. I will check about how often that is reviewed and
Yeah, yeah, and like when its last update was, that might be some homework for the board, maybe next year, just to kind of review what's coming up.
okay.
All right. Okay, so anything else community related events coming up before we go diving back into?
I don't know if this is where it belongs, but I don't normally go to the tree lighting things because Christmas isn't one of my things.
Mhm.
But in coming in tonight, I didn't notice any menorahs or dreidels or,
last year we didn't.
I thought there was.
I didn't walk around.
It might be
Rabbi
they do a
does it.
lot of lights
Yeah.
between the two
Yeah.
buildings here in that entry point.
Kwanzaa.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely
I-
have never
Do
seen.
they do it at Orchard Park?
Up at the mall?
Like, yeah.
Or at Orchard
I
Park?
know the Orthodox rabbi,
Yeah,
it's a tree lighting, and
okay.
I thought he used to do it here, but then he's been doing it up at Orchard Park.
It's very Christmassy
Yeah, it is.
and merry.
Yes.
Just a thought, not intended to be
Yeah,
a,
although I've kind of noticed over the years, it seems to be more like Santa and the gift giving sort of themes seem to prevail. But yeah, I had that same thought though. I'm like, well, it's still Saint Nick. It's still a Christian, basis for that. So yeah, it does make sense.
the
that-
music was playing Little Drummer Boy as I walked up.
Oh, I got something that was rap. And I was like, I've never heard this one before. Like, I might have to check this out again. But a good point though, I think is well
Yeah.
made, is that, it's
You need to be aware.
Santa becomes very cultural rather than, and then we forget where the origins come from. So,
Yeah, well, the reindeer, Santa, the sleigh,
mhm.
those are really Eurocentric.
They sure are. They sure are. Yep. Exactly. All right. Okay. But that would be an interesting thing to maybe even talk, to the city, like pass along the note to the city manager and
Just need
see
to be
whether or not that's something.
Sensitive to that.
Yeah. All right. So then if we don't have anything else that is business related, we can go back to nominations for chairperson and secretary. Now, I have a question for you ladies. Are we under an obligation to have this accomplished today?
No, it's
Okay.
a January meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I would personally like to move for revisiting this in January
Okay.
with the hopes that we'll have a larger, group of us. It feels like we have such a small group that it doesn't seem quite fair. I want to make sure that everybody has a voice. Does anybody have, Jillian?
Sorry.
Yeah, and we can barely hear you, and I don't know if that's on our end or yours.
Oh
I
my
think it's
God.
your end.
I
So
don't
just
know
speak
how-
up.
There you go.
This is what I get for
Perfect.
overheating my work
That's good.
laptop.
Perfect.
Sorry. No, it did seem like there was some confusion about whether or not there was going to be a December meeting at all. So I wonder if that's why we don't have as much
Three of us.
participation.
Yeah, I think we had casually mentioned it in a meeting like in September or October, I remember, but I don't think we
Oh,
ever
this
formalized it. So,
Last month.
yeah. So anyway, but
Validated.
yeah.
Or validated.
Donna, you have your hand up?
Yes, are you making that as a motion or requesting
think
a
I-
motion for that?
I
or
don't
what
think I
do you do?
have to because it's just an agenda item.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna, poll, attendees tonight and see what everybody's feelings and thoughts might be.
Well, I
Um,
agree with you. I think it would be better to do it when we have a more people in attendance.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anybody anybody that disagrees? Anybody that wants to move forward? I don't think so. I'm not really seeing any. Okay.
Well, the minutes from last month just says that we would be doing this. We'll ask people at the December meeting, but obviously we can't.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So,
Well, I should say obviously we can't. We have 5 people. We have a quorum.
right, because last meeting, neither Justin nor I were here, so that made it a little difficult yet. Thank you, Rich, for stepping in.
Oh, sure.
But,
We're stepping in it.
but yeah, but I think we're gonna have a much larger turnout for the January meeting without all the
Yeah, get past
The-
the hoopla.
the hoopla of December. All right, so good. As long as everybody's in agreement that's in attendance tonight, that we move that to January, let's do that. Okay, cool. All right. In that case, I'm just going to ask if there's anything else anybody wants to bring up before we adjourn.
Just if anybody knows anything more about the language being used, I heard this getting talked about at the playground outside my kid's school, oddly enough. But apparently there is consideration of banning the sale of pets within Westminster.
What?
And like I understand people concerned about animal welfare and there being good evidence that a lot of the animals that are sold commercially in Westminster are being sold from there's only 3 stores in Westminster that sell pets, and where do they get their animals from, and are they being treated humanely? All of that seems very good, but an outright ban on selling pets, a lot of people was like, well, does that mean I can't rehome my dog on Craigslist anymore? So has anybody else heard anything more about
Yeah,
this?
is there anything verified?
First time I've heard that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe somebody who was more closely working with the actual city council, if they had heard about if this is being drafted, if this is just being brought up as a consideration, if maybe there would be language that's less intense than going straight to we're going to ban it and you can't sell pets in Westminster anymore.
There was a presentation a couple weeks ago, but it was more about cats, about fear of cats, and doing a trap neuter release program or so at least what's been brought formally before city council. Now, whether there's something on the docket, I haven't heard anything, but that's the only thing about animals lately.
I can reach out to the city manager's office and ask and give you guys an update. From a process standpoint, if there is an ordinance, it would have to go through that noticing process and have 2 readings. And
Yeah.
so, it isn't something that could happen with no notice. But I can reach out to the city managers and then give you guys that update, like we send out the stuff.
And this is all scuttlebutt. I heard from a person that said that they saw an article, and I'm like, I know that's not, that it doesn't hold up in a court of law, obviously, but I was like, oh, but that would be really interesting to find out that you can't sell pets anymore. That seems like a big thing that would affect a lot of people.
Yeah. So I have a bit of a tangential question, but still somewhat related. which is on something like this. It'd be really great if, members of the board would have access to like the Westminster window, for example, because it's a great source of information on what's happening. And I know that that is part of, I forget what the acronym is, like, I think it's CCM, which is Colorado Community
Yeah.
Media, right? Which includes things like the Golden Transcript and the Arvada
Right.
Press
Right.
and all of the, like the Northwest metro cities have some sort of reporting. I'm wondering if the city would consider letting boards like ours have access to those
Well, you could
subscriptions.
go to the publisher and subscribe.
Right. I mean, we could pay, but I'm wondering if the city has some sort of subscription that they use for employees that maybe we could sort of tag on to.
And we can look into, I mean, we carry a paper copy, at the library,
Yeah.
we have
Right,
copies, but
okay.
I will see if that includes a
has a-
digital access.
Yeah.
And
And if it's available through the
Yeah,
library, that'd
You
be
can go to their
great.
website as well.
Yeah. Although
I get news updates from that.
you do. Okay,
I'm
great.
not really a subscriber.
Yeah, I know that
I
if
get Facebook updates.
if you go through a number of articles, you eventually hit that paywall. So I happen to have access through my work because our office subscribes, but I do find it interesting though to also read about what other municipalities are doing. And sort of seeing what they have going on in terms of events as well, and just things that are happening on a council level. There have been some things that have come up, about what other folks are doing on DEI or IDEA issues. So,
I can look into that.
yeah, that would be great. I mean, I don't know how many of us would actually take advantage of that, but I think it would be a great resource just for some of the stuff that we do. So anyway, just thought I'd put it out there because something like this, Jillian could then do a quick, article search and see if, verify whether or not that information even made it to the press, to the media, the local media. Donna, you have your hand up.
Yes. Let me make sure I'm not muted here.
You're good.
I've
We can
been
hear you.
sitting
We hear
here
you.
thinking about what Rich's concerns were with regard to the holidays. And it seems to me like this board is one that certainly should address some of those concerns if they aren't being done by some other group or the council itself. Do we need to put that into the minutes that it's after the fact now, but down the line at some one of our upcoming meetings that this is something that we discuss and make some recommendations, since that's what we're sort of charged to do, or is that appropriate?
Yeah,
Seems
that's what
appropriate.
we're here for.
Yeah, exactly. We could
Advise.
formalize the
Well, I
yeah.
think maybe that we might want to do that rather than just kind of dropping it right here, because I think as an inclusivity board, that's something that probably should be something we certainly should explore further. And if there are possibilities for recommendations or the need for those, they probably could and should come from us.
Yeah. The question I think though that does need to be asked is whether or not that's a decision on the city manager's part or whether or not that's a council edict.
Oh, okay.
So that would be
And I
my only
see where-
question, Donna, is whether or not it's just something that we could more or less like just informally, ask the city
Explore.
manager's office to look at and address,
Mhm.
rather than going through council.
It's not really any different from making suggestions for Westy Fest, or Arts Week.
Right, we would go directly to city staff, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I have it on my list to check on this and pass it on to the city manager, but I'm wondering if, first of all, checking to make sure, are there other elements? But I'm wondering if your question is more about balance rather than, yes, we have checked that box, we have that one thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, no, you.
Not just
you get it.
representation, but
You get it.
proportional
Yeah.
representation in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lights out there.
Every tree is lit up.
Right, so, but I mean, maybe let's make a note. We can revisit that in January when, especially when we have more of our board members in attendance, and maybe we can come up with a strategy on that front. Or if there's a way for either one of you, just to even maybe touch base with like Cody, for example. I think she'd be a great ally on that front.
Yeah.
With all of her experience.
Well, it's
That's
easy
a
to
great
get,
idea.
it's easy to get excited about the holiday and, you know, and sort of forget that there are other voices.
Mhm.
I don't remember how many holy days there are in December for various religions, but
A lot,
surprisingly many.
It goes into January.
Uh,
a lot,
It's
yeah.
either Diwali, is it Diwali?
Diwali, yeah.
Do all,
This
yeah.
one.
Yep, exactly. All right. Okay, well, oh, sorry, Jillian, you have your hand up.
No, just staying on topic there, in wondering if like what cultural representation is being presented. Is that a, you know, and you mentioned this already, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating what you said, but just in terms of, does one person make the decision about what the display looks like? Is it there's a call for whoever wants their culture or their religion represented can get a chance to put up a decoration or put up a scene or whatever? Or and just like, I personally, like, I'm not a Christian, but I love Christmas trees. They're only 100 years old and they're pretty. I mean, I love the decorations. I love the twinkle lights. But I guess that's just because, at least for me, Christmas trees were always more cultural than religious.
Correct, yeah.
I don't remember anything about trees being mentioned in the Bible in terms of having, having to do with worship. And my history's a little fuzzy, but like it was a Germanic pagan tradition, and the
Yeah,
American home
there's a
after.
spirit in that tree. Yeah, there's a spirit living in that tree. It's
Yeah,
Saxon.
we don't light candles on them or hang apples from them either. So it's maybe it's more cultural but once again,
Yeah.
that's me personally being like, I think they're pretty and I enjoy them, and it doesn't strike me as being super religious. But yeah, is it okay, do we have to make sure that everybody who wants to be represented is represented, or are we just trying to keep the representation to being very broad and very general?
Good point.
I think that's a
Yeah.
sensitive way to put it.
So I think, yeah, I think,
Representation.
yeah, so maybe, I think those are great questions, and I think I would love to hear from other members of the board, maybe in January on that front. I mean, it's obviously too late to do anything about it at the moment, but I think January would be a great time in terms of like figuring out what sort of recommendation we'd want to put forward.
Do a reflection.
Give them a lot of runway to figure things out for next year or for next. Miguel, hi. Saw that you just came on board. We're almost about to wrap it up though, Miguel. But I did want to throw it to you, Miguel, just in case you have anything community related that you wanted to share with the group.
Nothing community related for me on my end, but yeah, sorry I was late.
Oh, no worries at all. Just glad that you're here. Perfect. So if there isn't anything else, I think we are actually on the verge of adjourning early then. And I always forget, do we need to have? No. Okay. So, all right, then I'm going to go ahead and adjourn at 6:59 p.m. Look at that.
Short and sweet, just like the
Short
days
and
in
sweet.
December.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know. I got to get home and put some twinkle
Happy
lights on
holidays,
a fake,
everybody.
on a fake Christmas tree. All right. There we go.
Happy
Happy holidays.